All right, so you ready to dive in?
I am. Let's go.
Awesome. Today, we're tackling, uh, something that I think every dog owner is familiar with. Food begging.
Ah, the classic.
The puppy dog eyes,
Yeah.
the strategic positioning under the table. We've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
Probably caved a few times.
Definitely. Definitely.
But what's the real deal with this behavior?
Right.
Is it truly harmless, or is there something more to it?
Yeah. It's interesting because our deep dive today really revealed that even though food begging is so common, us, the owners, we often play a big part in encouraging it.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's almost like we're setting ourselves up for this like four-legged guilt trip.
So we're accidentally training our dogs to be these expert beggars.
Kinda, yeah.
That's ironic, isn't it?
It really is, and the sources highlight three main culprits, so to speak. First, food is a powerful motivator for dogs.
Right.
Like, that's tied to their survival instincts.
It makes sense. I mean, who doesn't love a good meal, right?
Exactly. But then we add in this encouragement factor. Think about it. Have you ever slipped a little tasty morsel under the table, given into those puppy dog eyes?
Okay, I plead guilty.
We've all been there.
But what's that third factor?
Inconsistency. If we're sometimes rewarding the begging, and then sometimes we don't, it just sends mixed signals, and our furry friends just end up confused about what the rules are.
Right, like what am I supposed to do? So imagine this, you're finally sitting down to this delicious dinner, and suddenly there's your dog
Yeah.
right there next to you, staring at you with those big pleading eyes.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a little wine in there for good measure.
Oh, yeah, I gotta add the sound effects.
So what's the first step to tackling this, four-legged stare down?
Well, the sources really emphasize this importance of a clear diagnosis and a management plan. And I think the cornerstone of that is consistency.
Consistency, yeah. Okay.
We got to be on the same page and stick to the plan.
So what does that actually look like in action? Is it all about just ignoring those puppy dog eyes?
Ignoring the behavior is definitely crucial, but I think it's not the whole picture, right? We also want to think about providing alternative activities, something to redirect their attention and energy.
Oh, I like the sound of that. What are some examples?
Well, the sources suggest things like puzzle toys, filled with healthy treats, kind of a little brain workout with a tasty reward, or interactive play is another great option. Get that tail wagging, get those paws moving.
Okay, so this sounds great in theory, but does it actually work in the real world?
Well, our deep dive included this fascinating case study, Rocky the bulldog.
Okay.
Imagine yourself in his owner, Jenny's shoes. Rocky was totally obsessed with table scraps, and his begging had gotten completely out of control.
Oh, no.
Meal times were a battleground.
Poor Jenny and poor Rocky, I imagine. So how did she turn things around? Did she just start ignoring him completely?
Ignoring the begging was definitely a key part of it, yeah. She had to be super consistent no matter how tempting it was to give in, but she also introduced those puzzle toys filled with healthy treats that we talked about.
Okay.
So she gave Rocky, a more appealing option.
Something to engage his mind and satisfy his foodie instincts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And remember those healthy snacks we were talking about earlier? Jenny started incorporating those too. Things like carrots, green beans between meals.
I see what you mean. So by giving him those healthy snacks throughout the day, she was kind of managing his cravings for those less healthy table scraps.
Precisely. It's all about finding that balance. And the results were pretty remarkable within a few weeks. Rocky's begging significantly decreased.
Wait, so he went from constantly begging for scraps to actually enjoying his puzzle toys and healthy snacks.
Yeah.
That's quite a transformation.
It really is. It shows that change is possible, even with a dedicated foodie like Rocky.
And I bet it wasn't just Rocky who benefited from this, right? I imagine Jenny probably felt a sense of relief too.
Absolutely. Mealtimes became more peaceful, more enjoyable for both of them. It strengthened their bond and just created a happier dynamic overall.
Okay, so this deep dive is already revealing some really fascinating insights. We've uncovered why dogs beg for food, debunked some myths about those puppy dog eyes, and even explored some effective strategies for managing the behavior.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore. We need to delve deeper into those alternative activities, those puzzle toys, the interactive games. And we need to talk about training techniques too. What can we actively teach our dogs to do instead of begging?
Yes, and I can't forget about that question we posed earlier. What about preventing food begging in puppies? How can we set them up for success right from the start.
That's where it gets really interesting, and luckily our sources had some great insights on exactly that. So if you're thinking about bringing a new furry friend into your life, or maybe you already have a playful pup at home, stay tuned. We'll be right back to unpack all things puppy training.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay, see you soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome back.
So before the break, we were talking about Rocky and how those puzzle toys really helped him shift his focus away from the dinner table. But for some dogs, even the most enticing puzzle toy might not be enough to distract them from human food.
Right, some dogs are just super persistent.
Yeah.
But don't worry, our sources have got us covered. We've got some, ninja-level strategies for those hardcore food beggars.
Ninja level. Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm all ears.
Okay, so one highly effective technique is teaching your dog to go to a designated spot during meal times. It's all about creating a positive association with a specific location,
Okay.
like their own personal dining zen zone.
So I'm picturing like a comfy dog bed,
Yeah.
maybe a favorite blanket strategically placed. But where?
Definitely not right under the table. You want to choose a spot that's, a comfortable distance away from the dining area so that they're not right in the heart of the action, constantly tempted by those smells.
Okay, so how do we actually teach them to go to this spot? Do we just like point and say, go there?
It's a little more nuanced than that. It's all about positive reinforcement, right? So you start by luring your dog to the spot with a treat, maybe a favorite toy.
Okay.
Once they're there, you give them a clear cue, like place or bed. And here's the key. You reward them generously with praise and another treat. When they settle in.
So we're creating this positive loop, like go to the spot, good things happen.
Exactly.
Right.
And the key is consistency, right? Practice this throughout the day, not just during meal times.
Yeah.
Make it a routine. You're building a strong, positive association with that specific location.
That makes sense. So by the time dinner rolls around, they're already in the habit of just chilling in their designated spot.
Exactly.
And because they've been rewarded for being there, they're more likely to stay put, even when they smell that delicious food.
You got it.
Huh.
It takes time and patience, but eventually they'll start to associate mealtime with relaxing in their spot, not begging at the table. They learn that good things come to those who wait patiently.
It's interesting. This approach feels very different from just trying to suppress the begging behavior.
Yeah.
It's more about teaching an alternative, more desirable behavior.
Absolutely. It's a more empowering approach for your dog. They're not being punished for begging. They're being rewarded for making a good choice.
That's a good point. This brings up something I found really interesting in the sources. It's the importance of timing when it comes to giving our dogs attention during mealtime. Because it sounds like even well-intentioned attention can backfire.
It's true, yeah. It's a subtle but crucial point.
Okay.
Giving attention at the wrong time can actually reinforce the begging behavior.
Oh, interesting. Can you give us an example?
Sure. So let's say your dog starts whining for a bite of food. Even if you tell them no or gently push them away, you're still giving them attention. And to a dog, any attention can be a reward, especially when it's related to something as desirable as food.
So even if we're saying no, they might interpret it as, keep doing that, you're getting a reaction out of me.
Exactly.
Oh,
The key is to completely ignore any begging behavior. No eye contact, no talking, no touching. Act like they're invisible.
wow. Okay.
I know, it can be tough, especially with those big pleading eyes. But you're teaching them that begging doesn't work.
Right. So we wait until they offer the behavior that we want, like settling down calmly in their designated spot,
Yes.
and then we shower them with praise and a treat.
You got it.
Okay, so we've got the designated spot, the positive reinforcement, the strategic ignoring. What other ninja moves do we have up our sleeves?
Well, the sources highlight another interesting strategy, mealtime coordination.
Okay.
So instead of feeding your dog right before or after you eat, try feeding them at the same time.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a synchronized dining experience.
Precisely. This can work wonders. For keeping them occupied and less focused on your plate,
Mm.
they're more likely to be engrossed in their own delicious meal. When they're eating alongside you,
Yeah,
it creates this sense of shared experience, almost like you're enjoying a family dinner together.
I love that. It's about building those positive associations with mealtime for both the dog and the human.
Exactly. It's a win-win situation. And speaking of wins, let's shift gears and talk about preventing food begging in puppies.
Okay.
After all, it's much easier to set them up for success from the start than to try and break bad habits later on.
All right, let's talk puppies. I think a lot of people might assume that puppies are just Naturally born beggars, they're so tiny and adorable. And those puppy dog eyes, I mean, come on, they're practically weapons of mass distraction.
Oh, absolutely.
But it sounds like, from the sources, that we can actually shape their behavior from a very early age.
You can, absolutely. While puppies are definitely food motivated, we have the power to guide them towards positive mealtime habits.
So where do we begin? What's the secret to raising a polite, non-begging puppy? Okay, so we've got these adorable little bundles of energy bouncing around ready to devour anything in sight. How do we lay the groundwork for, a lifetime of good mealtime manners?
Well, our sources really emphasize the importance of structure and clear boundaries right from the start. Think of it like creating this predictable, safe environment for your puppy. They thrive on routine, knowing when and where to expect things. And mealtime is no exception.
So are you saying, like, no more impromptu treat parties or, like, snacking on the go?
Yeah, having those designated meal times and sticking to them is key. This helps puppies understand that. Food appears at these specific times and places, not just, whenever they decide to throw a tantrum.
That makes a lot of sense. So if they know that good things are coming their way at specific times, they're less likely to try and hustle for snacks in between.
Exactly. And remember all that talk about ignoring begging behavior? Well, that's especially important with puppies.
Yeah.
They're like little sponges at this
Yeah.
age, soaking up information, learning from every interaction, and they crave our attention.
So even just a quick glance or a no
Mm.
could be misconstrued as a reward.
Exactly. Yeah. At this stage, they haven't figured out, the difference between positive and negative attention. Any response from you could reinforce that behavior.
Wow, okay.
To channel your inner statue, completely ignore those adorable attempts to charm a treat out of you.
Okay, I'm seeing a theme here. Consistency is key. But ignoring those puppy dog eyes can't be the only tool. What about actively teaching them what TO do instead of begging?
That's a great point. Incorporating basic obedience training from day one can be so effective. Focus on commands like sit, stay, and especially place.
I see where you're going with this. So instead of them hovering around the table, hoping for a dropped crumb, we can tell them to stay on their bed or mat.
Exactly. It gives them a clear directive, a sense of purpose during mealtime. They're not just passively waiting for a handout. They're actively engaged in a behavior that earns them reward.
Right, and it helps them build, like...
Impulse control.
Right, exactly, which will pay off in so many areas of their lives. It's amazing how these, seemingly simple strategies can not only prevent unwanted behaviors, but also strengthen the bond between you and your puppy. It's about building a relationship, based on mutual respect and understanding.
It is. It's about creating a harmonious environment where both humans and canines can enjoy mealtimes without the stress and conflict.
Well, it seems like we've reached the end of our deep dive into this fascinating world of canine food begging. We've explored the causes, debunked some myths, and equipped ourselves with some really practical tips for managing and preventing this behavior.
Yeah, it's been an enlightening journey. From understanding those puppy dog eyes to empowering ourselves with these training techniques.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has been helpful for you. Remember, patience, consistency, and positive reinforcement are key. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, may your mealtimes be peaceful and your bond with your furry friends stronger than ever.
That's a wrap.